This is the Weather Lounge here at WeatherWorks.
Hi there, everyone, and welcome back to the Weather Lounge here at WeatherWorks. I'm your host, meteorologist Mike Mahalik, and I would like to thank all of you for taking the time to listen to our podcast. And joining me today is our special co-host and fellow meteorologist, Mike Priante. Hi there, Mike.
Hey, Mike. How's it going? It's the Mike and Mike show.
Right. Hopefully we're okay saying that. I know that used to be an ESPN talk radio show.
Oh, boy.
So I think we're okay.
I think we're going to be fine. I think we'll be fine.
But many of you probably are wondering, well, what the heck? Why is it that Mike Mahalik and Mike Priante are talking here together and not Brad Miller? Where is he at? Well, turns out that Brad is actually going to be a guest on the Weather Lounge, right, Mike?
Oh, I thought he was fired. What wasn't he kicked off the show? No, I must have missed a memo on that. Oh, okay.
Let me check with the producer. Hold on. Oh, jeez, I forgot about that. No, never mind. No, he is not fired. Obviously, he is going to be a guest on our show today, and Brad actually was a TV meteorologist, and that's going to be the topic for today. Brad's been a TV meteorologist for almost 15 years before joining us here at WeatherWorks. So it's going to be an interesting show here, and to interview Brad about what it's like to be in front of the camera as a meteorologist. Here at WeatherWorks, we're behind the scenes, Mike. You know, we're giving those details to a lot of our clients. So, you know, it's a lot different being in front of the camera and being in the private industry like us.
Oh, of course. I know when I was in school, I did a lot of on-camera stuff as well. You know, obviously not professionally like what Brad did, but it is definitely a whole different field, in the realm of meteorology.
Yeah, it's funny, though. I never actually did that at Penn State.
Oh, you never did?
No,
Yeah.
I didn't do the campus weather service, and probably something I should have done. But for some reason, I don't know. Maybe I was just too nervous when I was younger to get up there in front of the camera. I know there's a lot of jitters that happen.
There is. I guess the one good thing is it's not like you're on stage in front of millions of people. You really just have a camera in front of you, maybe two people in the room. So it's a whole different thing. I know there's always that worry about, stage fright and everything, but I mean, for the most part, it can get a little bit, intimidating though. I will give you that.
Yeah, I think I was incredibly intimidated when I was younger. Even when I had my speech classes in college, it always.
I hated those classes. I'll tell you that.
But now it doesn't matter. I don't know what happened, but now I'm almost 40 years old and I don't really care. So.
There you go. Who cares anymore?
Who cares anymore, right?
No, we got to get on track here. We have to care about this podcast, Mike. We got to get this going.
Yeah, we will. Okay. So enough of that banter back and forth. But hey, after the break, we'll bring on meteorologist Brad Miller. So stay with us, guys. We'll be right back.
Have you ever wanted to know exactly how much snow or ice just fell in your backyard? Or how much snow you just plowed from that 2-acre parking lot? How about getting documentation that explains why you applied several applications of salt to a busy apartment complex? When it comes down to snow and ice verification, it can be a headache trying to find accurate totals for the busy winter season. Certified snowfall totals from WeatherWorks provide a stress-free way to get reliable information for the exact location you need. It is your complete winter weather verification platform. For more information, visit CertifiedSnowfallTotals.com today or call us at 908-850-8600. When you think weather, think WeatherWorks.
And welcome back here to the Weather Lounge. I'm your co-host, Mike Priante, joined with Mike Mahalik. Of course, we are going to be interviewing our own Brad Miller. He's now going to be in the interviewee spot, as he has been a co-host with you, Mike, for what, these past, how many episodes has it been? It's been a while, 12, 13 episodes.
It's been quite a few episodes, that's for sure. So if you didn't catch all of them, please go back, check them out. There's some good ones in there. I like the weather myths and folklore one. That's a good one to check out. But there's a lot of shows, so please go and visit those and give them a listen. They're still hanging out back there.
So I think, Mike, it's probably time we don't leave Brad hanging here, because he's been on the air for a little bit.
He can hang out a little longer if he wants, right?
Yeah, that's true. Alrighty, well, I guess it's probably time to bring him in, Mike.
Let's do it.
Alrighty, well, hey, Brad.
Hello. Hey, Mike and Mike in the morning.
Hey, it's been
I don't-
long time no talk, Brad. How's it going?
Yeah, I guess so. I remember that show on ESPN, Mike Mahalik. Yeah, that Mike and Mike show. I don't think we're making any
Right.
having any problems with that.
Who was it? It was Mike Golick and Mike Greenberg.
Greenberg. Yeah. It was a long time that show was on, but
That was back in my when I used to do landscaping and lawn care. I used to listen to Mike and Mike in the morning.
Yeah, it was a good show on ESPN radio. Yep.
And then Colin Cowherd I used to listen to also.
Yeah, he's on Fox now.
But
yeah,
hey, enough of that. Brad, we're here to interview you.
Right.
Yeah, I know. It's kind of weird. I'll be on the hot seat today, I guess.
That's it. So, how about we just start it right off here? I think what everybody's probably thinking about, as a TV meteorologist, what do you consider to be the best part of being a TV meteorologist, and maybe the worst part? So let's start with let's start with the best first. So.
Well, obviously the best part would be, hey, you're getting paid to be on television, and you're getting paid pretty good to be on television. That's probably the best aspect of it. I mean, a lot of time goes into the forecast and it does take a lot to make sure that forecast is correct, your graphics are all correct. But again, you get paid handsomely to be on television. I'm not going to lie. It's a fun thing to do. The standards, of course, are very high because you're on live television. But again, you're getting paid to be on television. That's probably the best part. The worst part, well, obviously I'm not a woman, but wearing makeup as a male was probably the hardest thing I had to get over, because before TV, obviously I never wore any kind of makeup. Probably chapstick was about the worst thing I ever put on my face. But, as you get into TV, it doesn't matter how your complexion is. You have to wear something, whether it's just something to make you less shiny as a male, or something that'll, even tone up your color on your face sometimes, because it just depends upon the season, where you live. So either way, you got to wear makeup. It doesn't have to be a lot sometimes. Sometimes it's more than other days and less than others. But that's probably the worst part about, at least as a male being on television, is wearing makeup.
Well,
So,
Brad, maybe you should keep wearing it. Maybe that'll help out a little bit.
no, what I was going to say was, can you compare that to like wearing makeup on Halloween? I mean, I'm sure we've all
I
worn
guess
it.
so. Yeah, I don't know. I never went as anything that needed makeup, but I guess a lot of I never did the face painting thing when I was younger either. But I guess it's the same kind of idea. But I don't know. It was just one of those things I had to kind of get over. And at first, I was like, I don't want to wear that, or I don't really want to partake in that. But it was either that or don't be on TV. You kind of learn that really quick.
Yeah, I guess.
But that's probably about the worst thing. Is at least for me, it was tough to get over.
Now, Mike, is that something that you wore too when you were in school?
Thank God I did not wear makeup in school. Although,
Okay, so the school practice.
I will say though that okay, so I will say this was not related to college in front of TV, but
here comes the makeup thing.
I was in a school play in high school, and unfortunately, they had to put makeup on me. It was a musical, and I wasn't very. None of the guys because it was we kind of paired with an all girls school. It was like all guys school, all girls school. We did a musical. I don't know how I got pulled in to do that. Honestly, I'm not a musical person. I'm not an actor by any means. So I don't know how I got pulled into that. I guess I must have been persuaded some other way.
I was gonna say maybe we're missing a talent here that Mike has. Maybe he's a great singer or something, and we just hadn't realized this.
You don't want to hear my voice.
Okay, never mind.
And going back to the handsomely getting paid, actually there's a level to that, but I'll get into that a little bit later about where like you get paid a lot more versus, I mean, basically when you get into television, you don't get paid all that great, but it depends upon where you live and where you work. But we'll talk a little bit more about that, into the little later into the podcast, because there are some big jumps from basically where you start off at where you could be, at the end of your career. So I don't want to get folks and think that, oh, well, you get into TV, you're going to get a lot of money as soon as you start off, but that's not the truth. But you do get, paid to be on TV. So I guess again, that's still the best part.
Were you a local celebrity in any? I don't even know where you worked in terms of what
Yeah,
TV
well,
stations.
I'll give it a quick background. I got the TV bug basically in college. I went to Millersville, and my junior year, I kind of started to think, oh, what am I going to do with my degree once I get it? And of course, the weather service is an option. Private industry like WeatherWorks. TV is always something that kind of popped in my mind. So I did an internship at the TV station that was actually in Lancaster, where Millersville is basically at. It was the NBC affiliate there. I did a summer internship, had a great time. The chief meteorologist there is still there to this day. So he's been there for a long time. I learned a lot. And again, you kind of get that taste that like, oh, this is kind of fun. Of course, I practiced a little bit in front of the camera, after the newscast, and that kind of whets your appetite if you're going to go in that direction. And then one thing led to another. After college, I didn't really get into weather at first, but then I did hear of an opening for a weekend meteorologist at the CBS affiliate in Scranton. So, and I knew one of the meteorologists up there. I said, well, I've never been on TV before. I practiced in my internship. I said, maybe I can come up there and take a shot. And I did a couple of practices. And granted, what they call you're a green when you're early in your career and you're starting out. Now, I wasn't really ever afraid to be on TV. I kind of knew the idea and I liked it. In fact, I had a lot of confidence in front of the camera, which is what you need, especially when you start out. But, you still have a lot of rough edges. So I worked on a few things, and believe it or not, they hired me. And I was a weekend meteorologist for 2 years up there, and I had a great time. And then I thought, well, you know what? I'm in my mid-20s now, and I kind of don't want to do this the rest of my life yet. So I moved down south to Charleston, South Carolina, of all places, and got into the golf business. And so I was a golf pro for a few years, but I still had that idea I wanted to be back on TV. So I started to fill in at at the CBS affiliate in Charleston, just as a fill-in basis. I was just paid as I worked. And then they offered me the weekend job there. And then I kind of moved up to the weekday position as well with the chief. And that's where I spent most of my time in Charleston doing weather. But that was, kind of how I got into it. And then as you get into it, you get better and better and better. And it turns into basically a job at that point. So now getting back to that local celebrity, Mike Priante, yes. There are times when I would have to maybe go to Walmart. I had to go pick up diapers or something after my shift, and I would work. My normal shift was 3 o'clock till 11:30. So I can remember a few times I'd go into Walmart and I had to get something even for something else, and somebody at the checkout would be like, "Hey, I know you. Don't you do sports on TV?" I said, "No, I do the weather on TV though." And they're like, "Oh yeah, I know you. You work with so and so." And of course I'm in my suit still, and my tie. I have my makeup on too. So
oh no!
I couldn't get away from it. But most of the time, no, I would have a hat on if I was playing golf or something. Most people wouldn't recognize you. But yeah, if you have your suit and stuff on, and you just got out of your shift, and they would kind of recognize you.
Yeah, I was just. Go ahead, Mike.
I was gonna say, funny thing you probably should have done, Brad, was put on the fake glasses and the mustache. So maybe you go into the store, they won't recognize you.
Well, it wasn't like I was on national TV either. I mean, Charleston, it goes by market size, and Charleston at the time was like a 95, 96 market, which is an average sized market. But we were the number one station in there, and they've always been number one where I worked. And so I was it was a high profile channel that most people knew of and basically grew up with from the 40s and 50s. So it was, it was fun though. I'd play along sometimes, and sometimes I'd be like, "Hey, I don't know, isn't that weather guy or something like that?" I'd kind of play along with them too, and it's like, I don't know, I don't know where you recognize me from. I'm not on TV though. I'm a TV star though. I do movies, but I play around with it. It's fun though.
Yeah, I just always thought it'd be interesting. Have you ever gotten anybody come up to you and ask for your autograph?
Not at a store or anything like that, but
oh my God, it's true.
Well, this will kind of bring us into our next topic. Sometimes when we do live shots, when we do what's called we'll do a forecast out at like we used to go out to what was called the Coastal Carolina Fair, which is a really big fair in October, all the channels were there, obviously. We all had our spots at the fair. So, you get the people that would gather around when you would do your live shots and your weather, and they would even do sports from out there, and the anchors would be out there even doing some of the newscasts. So, in between, when we're not live, they'd come up and, hey, can I get your autograph? And I wasn't as popular as like our chief meteorologist, who's been there for 30 plus years, and some of the other folks have been there. But yeah, I get a couple kids like, I want to do weather on TV one day too. And give my autograph, and I'd feel like, oh wow, I gave up autographs today. They're not worth anything, but
Mike,
but it's true.
Mike, are you saying you've never asked for Brad for his autograph at work?
No.
No?
It's not worth the piece of paper that would be on. So
the only autographs I used to give out was for our forensic department when I did some reports for them. I would sign the reports, as I'm the meteorologist who certifies that this is true.
Putting your big John Hancock on that paper, huh?
Yeah, that's it. That's all my autograph's good for. I mean, but I was wondering, Brad, there's a lot of differences between the private industry and meteorology and broadcast meteorology. So how important is like the forecast accuracy for broadcast meteorology versus, maybe some other things?
Yeah, I mean, when I came over to WeatherWorks, obviously, our forecasts are just, they are so well prepared. Of course, what we do at WeatherWorks, and by nature, we have to have them that way because a lot of folks are not only they're basing their work on it, their livelihood, they're paying for the forecast. So, it's something that we, of course, take a lot of pride in all of our forecasts at WeatherWorks, each individual meteorologist in whatever region that we're covering. So, there is so much information, so much time put into our forecast. Now, I'm not saying the ones that we do on TV are just kind of like, let's just throw a forecast together. However, on TV, there's not much, I guess, if you're wrong in your forecast. Like, there's going to be some folks that get upset even at WeatherWorks or some of our WeatherWorks clients that, and rightfully so, because if the forecast is going wrong, then things have to change on their end. You get a TV forecast wrong, or you say a 30% chance of a thunderstorm and it ends up being a rain out. No one on TV are going to call the TV stations like, hey, your forecast was really bad, and it's just the way that is. So I guess TV meteorology forecasts can go wrong, but we're also not updating it as things go wrong. I guess you can put it that way. So if something starts off wrong and ends up being really wrong, then you have to wait for the next newscast basically to kind of fix it. So I guess that's kind of where I'm getting at with the TV part. You get some Facebook pushback and things like that. Hey, your forecast was wrong today, and things like that. But it's not as, I guess, a high priority. And I don't like saying this, but on TV, unless it comes down to severe weather and things like that, if you miss a forecast, you miss a forecast. It's kind of where it is. It's more the delivery and how good things look, and how you want people to recognize your channel and your product versus actually perfect accuracy, which we strive for, of course, at WeatherWorks. So I'm not putting one down or the other, but unless it's a severe weather situation, it's you're going to miss some forecasts on TV because you have to still be kind of general on TV. Also, you have an area that you're forecasting for, but it's not a very, very specific area. You're kind of forecasting for half the state, and you're going to miss things. It's not like where you can fix things either along the way, like I was saying earlier. So it's bad to say, I guess, but accuracy kind of takes a little bit of a backseat when it comes to TV meteorology versus, of course, what we do at WeatherWorks.
Right. So I guess, piggybacking off of that. So Brad, what do you typically do, during a regular shift? I mean, I know there's, you have a morning shift, a lot of these broadcasters do things in the evening. Take us through a typical day in the life of Brad Miller as a TV meteorologist.
Well, typically
as a TV meteorologist, please.
Yeah, and that's else. It, and nothing else.
Typically, I work. Like I said, I work evenings with the chief. I used to, because we had so many newscasts that we just split up the newscasts, and plus we had a Fox newscast that we did in the evening. When you get into a smaller market like we were, and although Fox is like one of the major networks, a lot of the newscasts, when you get into a smaller market like that, we would do the Fox broadcast from a different studio within our building. So we had a separate studio for the Fox broadcast versus our CBS broadcast. So we did a lot of different newscasts, both morning and evening for both. So typically I'd get in there around 3:00. Prepare the forecast. My first newscast was at 4 p.m. We did a 4 to 4:30. Then the chief would do at 5. Then I would do 5:30. Chief would do 6. I would do 7. And then I do the Fox News at 10. That would be basically a normal day for me. Then the chief would do the 11. Sometimes I work weekends where I would do all the broadcasts, but there weren't that many, where it was just a 6, 7, and 11. But basically your shift is 3 to 11:30. And you do your own forecast, do your own graphics. We weren't a big enough station where we had a weather producer. As you get up into like the top 50 markets, probably, which is, especially like New York, Philadelphia, Chicago, Los Angeles, Miami, a lot of these places have weather producers where they're not on camera. They do all the graphics for the meteorologist that's on camera. And they basically come in, they get kind of summarized about what's going to happen. Obviously, they look over their own stuff too, and they'll make changes. The meteorologist will. But, it's more of again, it comes down to more of an appearance factor and making sure everything is so perfect when you get into those bigger markets that, you see some of them on TV now. Even, I pick out like Ginger Z. She is like one of the most fantastic people, I think, on TV, and all the meteorologists on TV that you see like that at that level are, basically they are just they're perfect, just
polished,
a reflection of the station itself. Right. So, and there's so many out there that are like that. So, but that would be the typical day for me. The morning now is a little different. I'd fill in once in a while for the morning guy when he was out. Same thing, the newscast starts at 5 a.m. And it goes until 9, or really the newscast itself goes till like 7. And then you have fill-in or cut-ins, what they call, with the affiliate, where you go to a local update with headlines and a quick look at the weather again. The one thing about the morning is you can come in whatever time you want. You can come in at 4:45, you can come in at 4:55. They don't care. But you better be ready to go at 5 a.m. with graphics, makeup, suit, tie, everything that you need to look excellent for at 5 a.m. And ready for that first weather hit at 5 o'clock and 30 seconds, where you do your first day planner. So, typically if I did the mornings when I filled in, I'd come in around 3:30, usually if it was quiet weather, a little bit earlier if it was going to be an active day. But an hour and a half is usually pretty good to get the forecast together, get your makeup on. Usually I go in there dressed, so you don't have to worry about that part. Maybe throw on your tie and stuff before the newscast. But, overall, it's a little bit different. But at 5 a.m., snap of a finger, you better be ready to go. And, it's 5 a.m., you better be just like you were if it was like 5 in the afternoon. Always lively, energetic, ready to go. And the thing about the morning news is a lot of folks are listening versus watching. At night, 10 o'clock, 11 o'clock, a lot of folks are winding down. They're going to watch the news before they go to bed. They're going to watch you. Morning time, moms and dads are getting ready, maybe getting kids ready for school, and they're listening more than they are watching, because they can't just sit there for 2 hours and watch the news. So that's kind of a difference also with kind of what we do with graphics and how we did certain things. And one thing I remember, it was the chief that I interned for back at WGAL. And one thing he always said, as sad as it sounds, if you better be ready to go in the morning, because it doesn't matter if you ran over your dog in the driveway, or you hit 20 garbage cans, or you wrecked your car on the way to work. You got to be ready to go. And like your morning is like got to be very energetic and ready to go, like confidence, and just you don't want, hey, good morning everyone, welcome to the newscast. The weather today is gonna be cloudy and 50. Nobody wants that. You'll be off so fast. So it's good morning everyone. It's lively and things like that. So that's the difference, I guess, between the evening and the morning too.
And I think that makes perfect sense, because the station wants you to be energetic, so that the audience isn't like listening to this guy like, oh, this guy's bringing me down my whole day. I'm not going to watch this station anymore.
I know.
You know what I mean? I don't want to wake up and listen to this boring guy give the weather. So, I understand what you're saying there. And I think that's something that many people don't realize, is that in meteorology, if you're going to do it as a career, you're going to work all kinds of crazy hours. It's not a 9 to 5 type job. So if anybody's thinking about getting into meteorology out there, don't expect to work 9 to 5. You're usually working very early or working at night or doing swing shifts or something like that. So because the reasoning is everybody wants their forecast before they get up in the morning. They want it there. They want it ready for them.
Well, we're at the mercy of the weather. Yeah, Mother Nature doesn't work on a clock. It's whatever happens. Same thing at WeatherWorks. We have shift work, but our shifts do change a lot versus wintry weather conditions, even summertime severe weather. Same thing in TV. Even though you have a set schedule, if it's an active night or an active day where there could be tornadoes and things like that, especially down south, we have to have kind of a handoff between the two shifts. So even the morning person may have to stay till 2 p.m, which they would normally leave at 12:30. And then the evening shift comes in a little bit early at 2 instead of 3. So there's a handoff to where you can't leave the studio for 2 hours unattended, especially if there's a tornado warning, because then you have to, of course, get on air.
Right. One thing I wanted to ask you, Brad, which I know the answer to, but I know a lot of listeners probably don't, or they've heard this from somewhere else. But are TV meteorologists using a teleprompter? Is it all scripted? Clear the air. Let us know what's up with that.
Yeah, the TV meteorologist does not use a prompter at all. They are basically given 3.5 minutes, 4 minutes to do your forecast, and you set your graphics up based on the amount of time that you're given. Sometimes you're given a little bit less. If the weather's quiet or is like a busy news day, I know on like election day you may only get a minute for weather because there's so much going on otherwise, and especially if the weather's quiet, nobody wants to hear you ramble on about it's going to be sunny and 70 for 5 minutes. You make your graphics, you set them up to where you feel familiar how long you can go 3.5 minutes. So, you get good at it. You figure out, all right, well, I'm going to do this, this, and this. And then at 30 seconds left in your forecast, or at least your time, you better be on your 7-day forecast, because at that point, you're basically wrapping up. Now, the newscast itself is down to the second. I mean, usually they're 35 minutes, but content-wise, it's probably like 22 to 23 minutes, because then you have your commercials, which you have to hit because your ads they're paying for that time in a prime time at 11 o'clock. So you can't skip a commercial and say, oh, well, the newscast is running late, so we'll drop this commercial about so-and-so. You can't do that. It's a no-no. The newscast itself then takes the sacrifice. So and the people after weather are usually sports. So if I go 4 minutes instead of my 3:30, well, guess who gets jacked 30 seconds? The sports a guy or girl. So, and then they're mad at you because you went long. And if it's a normal day, then there's no reason for you to go long. So you better get done on time, because then the sports person has to condense their show even further.
Have you ever had your segments cut off short because of that?
Usually no. That they'll give you advance warning. It's not like you're going to get over to the chroma key wall and you're already expecting to do 3:30, and all of a sudden they go, oh, well, you got to do 3 minutes of weather.
Right.
You can't do that because your graphics are set and ready to go. And Mike Prianta, you did some weather in Penn State. You said so. You have your graphics basically set to your time. Now, if they tell me in the beginning of the newscast, like, hey, this live shot went a lot longer, can you chop 30 seconds off? And I'll say, yeah, weather's pretty quiet. I'll be able to do that. I can do it in 3 minutes for you. But they know that they can't do it at the wall because you're already set for your graphics, and you can't. Now, we did have a hot button, which was called on our controller, where we could jump right to the 7-day, which once in a while you can use. So, but it would just be, it just wouldn't look right. So you can't just jump from a satellite or a radar or current temperatures to the 7-day. It just doesn't flow right. It doesn't look good. I just don't like that. But once in a while, if you could skip maybe like tomorrow night or the next day and then go right into the 7-day, if you're really tight on time, you can. Or sometimes they'll tell you to go to break in your ear. You wear an IFB. And they tell you, hey, Brad, go to break, please. We're running a little bit late. Instead of going back to the anchors, just go to break. They're talking to you the whole time. They're saying 3 minutes, 2 minutes, 1:30. They're giving you your time cues, so you know what to do and when you can go back to the anchors. Or again, like I said, sometimes they'll say, all right, after 7-day, go right to break, please. Thank you. And
Yeah.
that's
And
the producer talking to you. Yeah.
And that's something interesting that you told me about before, Brett, is that you do have that earpiece in.
Mm-hmm.
So there's a producer or somebody talking to you the entire time while you're doing your forecast and things like that. Like now, me, I'm thinking to myself, oh my God, how distracting is that? For me trying to get my forecast across to everybody who's watching, and then you have somebody in your ear going, hey, you're down to 2 minutes. Hey, you better speed it up. Like, hey, you better do this. Like, I'd be like, oh my God, I can't finish.
Yeah, no, it is distracting. I mean, at first you're like, oh my God, I can't do this. Somebody talking to my ear, but you get used to it, and then actually, to tell you the truth, after you get on there and you're doing it for a long time, you actually feel like it's almost like you need someone in your ear. Eventually, you're thinking to yourself, I need to know what I'm doing here. And I'm kind of looking forward to my time cues eventually, and so I'm not rambling on about certain things. So. It's kind of a thing that you need. Now, sometimes the producer gets very busy during the newscast, and that's when the PAs or production assistants, they're the folks that work the flow. Now, some TV stations actually have robotic cameras. We didn't yet. I don't know if they do now where I used to work, but so we actually had humans on the floor, and they will give you time cues sometimes too, especially if the producer's doing something else. They'll give you like 2 or 1, or sometimes they'll actually take their 2 hands and break. Like they're telling you to go to break if the producer can't tell you because they're doing something else. So you do need the folks on the floor also helping things out. They're moving cameras around. There's a lot of other things going on during a newscast that you kind of have to focus on yourself because they're moving a lot of things going on behind the scenes too while you're actually at the wall. It's not just everyone's still and everyone's quiet. They're quiet to the point. But there's also a lot of other things going on while you're doing your thing at the wall. So it's a lot of things to kind of get over. At first, you're a little overwhelmed. Like, how am I supposed to focus when all this is going on? But it becomes a normal thing, just that you would do like any other job, basically.
Okay. Well, hey, I mean, that's great about everything that you talked about with that live shot. I mean, it sounds like there's a ton going on.
Yeah.
I want to go more into what's going on in that live broadcast, and if you had any shtick or anything like that, live shots in the field, things of that nature. But I just want to take a quick break, guys, and then right after the break, we'll be back with the second part of our interview with meteorologist Brad Miller.
Have you ever needed weather data for a snow removal contract? How about a slip and fall incident? Searching for the information online may sound simple enough, however, it can be tedious and difficult. Good news! Our data and stats team can simplify the process. We'll find any weather information from daily rainfall and snowfall totals to hourly temperatures and seasonal averages. On the legal side, our forensic department routinely produces certified reports by meteorologists, assessing the weather conditions on and around accident dates. So don't waste your valuable time. Give WeatherWorks a call today at 908-850-8600 or email us at data@weatherworksinc.com. Remember, when you think weather, think WeatherWorks.
And welcome back, everyone, to the Weather Lounge. I'm meteorologist Mike Mahalik, and I'm here with my co-host, meteorologist Mike Priante, and, of course, our guest for this episode, meteorologist Brad Miller, who used to be a TV meteorologist, and that's why we're interviewing Brad. So, Brad, welcome back.
Thank you very much. It's hard to explain kind of how TV works. I'm trying to do the best I can because it's something that a lot of folks see every day. But it's very interesting, that's for sure. So hopefully I've gotten the point across so far that about the forecasts and again, I want to go back to that one part about the even the accuracy part. I feel bad. I don't want to say TV meteorologists don't get the accuracy right. It just sometimes takes a little bit more of a backseat. Outside of severe weather, and that's a whole different story. But it's again, you want to look good. You want everyone to look good on TV, and your channel's trying to look good, and they're selling the ads and things like that. Now, again, on the WeatherWorks side, we're very particular about our forecasts, and the accuracy is top notch. 100% is what we're always striving for. And again, on TV, if you get something wrong, it's the old adage. Well, the guy or the girl on TV said it was going to rain, but it's not raining. That 20% chance never came true. So it's just kind of give and take. But that's kind of where we're at with all that. But I think everyone understands that. Yeah.
And I think it's just put into perspective from, now working with WeatherWorks and now how we like to break out like exactly for specific locations or very small regions, when that snow is going to arrive, when it's going to turn heavy, when you're going to see your first inch, and all the aspects of the storm, because our clients are making decisions based on when they're going to go out and plow, when they're going to go out and do their final scraping, when they're going to do their salting.
I've never put so much. I was going to say I've never put so much time into a forecast as I ever have until I worked at WeatherWorks. Now I'm not saying I never put in time for forecasts on TV. It's just that TV was more nowcasting. TV was more like, all right, this is happening, so we have to do this. It's not like, well, we need to, prepare for all. Sometimes, obviously, when you get hurricanes and things like that, but it's so much different at WeatherWorks versus like the private side of forecasting on TV. So,
I heard about this game. Let's just bring this up right away because I've been waiting to hear about this. That people would ask you to see if you can work in a word or something like that, during your broadcast, and it's kind of like a fun game you guys would play every now and then.
Yeah.
So let's go into that a little bit because
it brings us up to a couple of things. So yeah, once in a while, a couple of guys I used to play golf with, and I'll use their name. Our golf group was called the Wild Bunch. Okay, this is at a club I used to play.
My group was, Tiger Woods and Phil Mickelson.
No, the group itself was Wild Bunch. So I actually had to work on this one Sunday, and I played in the morning, and of course we all jabbered afterwards, and they're like, well, I'll bet you a beer, which I wasn't going to drink until the next time I saw them because, I had to work that day. Anyway, They said, you can't work in the word Wild Bunch into the forecast. So I said, you're on. I said, no doubt, I will get that in there. So that was the task I had at hand, was to work the word Wild Bunch into my actual forecast that afternoon or that evening on TV. So sure enough, 6 o'clock newscast comes on. I pretty much got it out of the way right out of the gate. Right as soon as we got on air, we had our little camera shot, and it's like, it was a pretty quiet day, but we've had such a wild bunch of weather the last week or so that it's nice that we enjoyed this nice quiet weekend. And then sure enough, I worked it in. But yeah, there were other words, once in a while, and even like me and the chief would play it, work avocado in, or like, I bet you can't work, some kind of odd word in there, spin cycle or motorcycle or anything like that, just to keep things funny.
Avocado sounds weird.
How do you use avocado in a forecast?
Well, I don't know. I think I remember saying something like, the severe watch for out in the Midwest kind of looks like an avocado here. So it would just be something like that, but we'd work it in.
To that end, piggybacking off of that question, Mike, and I've mentioned this before on an earlier podcast. Have either of you seen the movie Anchorman?
Oh, yeah, of course.
Okay, good. I'm glad. In that movie, there's a huge relationship between, the main anchor, the news, the sports guy, the weather guy. So, Brad, have you ever had a great relationship with your anchors? Were you as crazy as them?
I think that all the quote talent usually always got along pretty well. I mean, I always had a good rapport with both the anchor and the sports guy that I used to always work with. We had a couple of sports girls, and we had a mixture of everything, of all different talents and at all different positions. So I think the talent themselves, we all got along pretty well. Sometimes there would be a little bit of a rift between production and the actual talent on air. There would be certain things that maybe production would like to do versus what maybe the anchors wanted to do, and vice versa. And again, it's just like anything else at a job. You do have some differences, and sometimes you have a different idea that you want to go with versus someone else. But overall, everyone got along. I mean, even off camera, we go out afterwards sometimes, or we'd go play golf together. Me and a few other folks from the studio, and we'd just like anything else off camera, you're just basically friends or friends at work, and you have a few other people that you're closer to versus others. But then of course the evening doesn't see too many of the morning people because you're on opposite schedules. So some of the people you barely even see a couple times a year.
Wow.
Other than maybe a company-wide meeting or something like that we'd have, maybe once or twice that would be in between the shifts. So, but overall, I had a good rapport with everyone. It brings me to one part of our newscast, though. I'll never forget. This is at the end of our newscast, and our anchor, she was a little taken back, and so was our sports guy, because at the end we had a little time left, and sometimes if we have enough time, we'll do what's called a kicker story. If you don't, then you just end the broadcast after the last commercial after sports. But I guess we had an extra 30 seconds. So the story was about a honeymoon couple that was doing some cave exploration, underwater, and I just for some reason knew this word. So as the video kind of wrapped up and we were getting ready to wrap up, I said just out loud, I said, "Wow, so I guess they had a good time spelunking together." And the sports anchor and our main anchor, she just was like a deer in headlights, and they both kind of looked at me like, "What did you just say?" Like under their breath, I could tell, and they're thinking I said something dirty. I said, spelunking, And
well, I mean, the word spelunking, it doesn't sound like a very clean type of word.
But it was the proper term, wasn't it, Mike?
It was. Spelunking is the exploration of caves. That's all it is. It's just a word for it.
It's a fun word,
and
I'll
everyone
tell you
else.
that.
Right, and everyone else on the floor were like floored. They almost like got knocked over, and the producer in my ear like, "Brad, what are you doing?" And they're yelling at me. And I was like, "Oh, well, it's exploration of caves." And they're like, "Oh my god!" And they started laughing, and we couldn't even finish the newscast. We couldn't even like say goodbye to everyone. We just kind of ended it laughing.
Oh my
It
God.
was so fun. It was so good. It was just one of those things.
That's like an Anchorman when Ron Burgundy's like reading off the teleprompter, and then he says like the curse word, and everyone's looking at him like,
"Oh yeah,
remember that? Like, what are you doing?"
Yeah.
And he's just going off like everything's okay, everything's normal, and they're just like,
Yeah.
"Did you realize
Beep,
what you
bop,
just?" Yeah. That's kind of like what that is. You're like, "What? Nothing's wrong. It's just the word spelunking." Everyone's like,
I need to fire you, Ron.
Right.
I got to fire you. Beep, bop, boop.
Exactly.
No, that's pretty interesting. Since we're on fun topics, I know some people have some type of shtick or something like that they do the weather forecast with. I know there's one guy who's pretty over the top, that uses all kinds of stuff on the weather board, all kinds of stickers and whatever you may want to see. Well, you ever have anything like that, or you pretty straightforward?
No, I was pretty straightforward. I wasn't. I basically just got up there, did my thing. Yeah, I had a couple jokes here and there. I try to keep it lighthearted, especially when the weather's quiet, because again, how many times can you say it's gonna be sunny and 70? So when it is kind of quiet, you do your own kind of thing. I know there's a couple of meteorologists. The one up at WNEP in Scranton is very well known for that. He's the morning guy up there. But even our chief, where I used to work, when things were quiet and we had a big area of high pressure, he was known for saying it's called the Dome of Delight, which was great. It was he had a special graphic for it. He actually had T-shirts made for it. So every time he'd be like, "All right, govern yourselves. The Dome of Delight is in effect." And he would have this big dome, this big area of high pressure, and just be like locked in, and that's what he would call it. And it was just one of those things, and he'd have his own little shtick about it, and it was kind of funny. But again, it's just times of lightheartedness when it was quiet, and the weather wasn't really an issue, and really kind of took a back seat to the rest of the newscast itself.
Maybe I should be putting that in my forecasts for our clients. How do you think our operations team would think about that, Mike? If we
Dome
say
of Delight,
the Dome of Delight will be
It could be trademarked by now. I don't know. I've been talking to him in a long time.
I don't want to get sued here, so maybe we won't.
Yeah, it's probably a bad idea, but I don't know. I don't know how that would. I mean, it's not like it's a bad thing. I mean, it's talking about how nice it is outside.
It's when it's quiet, right? Now, obviously, when things get active, that's a whole different story, and that's when we talk about severe weather and things like that.
Oh well, right off the bat. When we start thinking about severe weather, we start thinking about break-ins, and
Right, you know what I'm
and a
talking
lot
about.
of a lot of the viewers
Oh,
are
no.
saying, "Don't you mess up my
Yeah.
show,"
Oh, God
and
forbid.
break in
Yeah.
with that tornado warning. It's not going to hit me, and blah 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 blah
It's
blah. How
yeah,
did that all go down?
yeah, it's a serious topic. I mean, a lot of folks, are always very, nonchalant on Facebook and a lot of the social media. You get these people that call in or write in like, "Why are you breaking into my show?" And it's such BS basically, because if it's not affecting them, directly, then why are you on my TV? But it helps more than it hurts, and more people are saved probably by these things than are missing their show. It has to
Mhm.
happen though. You got to get on TV for a tornado warning. I don't care where you live or where you work. It's something that saves lives, and even if it didn't save lives, so what? So you missed your program that you can watch later on.
Yeah.
I'm a big believer in, if it's even in close to your area, you got to get on there and make sure people understand that maybe it's only affecting 5% of your area. The other 95 is fine, but you know what? If that 5% is saved because of a tornado warning that they're not getting on their
Yeah.
phones, or they probably are, but the TV helps out so much more, because you could be in your safe space listening to the TV still, getting that information from the meteorologist. Granted, maybe if they are going on and on about repetitiveness, but if it's an active warning for a tornado, then you got to get on there. And I've had it happen. I broke in. I think it was a Sunday night again, and I think one of the races were going long. I don't know, but no, I take that back. It was a Bachelor. It was a Bachelor of all things. I broke in during the Bachelor because there was a tornado warning, and granted, it wasn't for our core area. It wasn't going right through middle of Charleston, but it was within our viewing area, well within our viewing area, that were under the warning. And there was I think not only radar indicated, I think there was one of the sheriff's office actually saw the tornado. So either way, whether it was on the ground or radar indicated, it was a tornado warning that I had to break in for. I get in trouble if I didn't too, by the way.
Right.
If we don't do it, the news director is going to be upset, and rightfully so. So we have to do that. And not only that, we have to run the crawl per the FCC warning. FCC makes us, and that's fine too. But if there's a tornado warning and it's close enough to where it's going to have our viewers impacted, then yeah, we're going to break in, and you're gonna get the feedback too on Facebook the next day. Not only that, they'll start calling. In fact, our chief a long time ago broke in during the Masters, and there were editorials written in the paper the next week about how he should be fired because people missed the final round of the Masters because
God forbid
exactly
they lose
Mhm.
their precious
exactly
golf, and someone's probably going to
exactly.
get hurt or possibly have their life taken away from a tornado.
Exactly. So it's a touchy thing, and
Right.
most people, meteorologists are definitely going to take that side of things. And if your show's kind of impacted or it gets delayed or you got to watch it at a different time, well then, oh well, that's that's something I definitely believe in, and I'm glad that almost all the meteorologists that I know of too are the same way. I mean, it's still a job. It's your job to get out there and save people's lives if you have to, and that's kind of, very serious about that.
I think that's one of the best things that TV meteorologists can do. And it's
Mhm.
basically informing the public of like warnings
Sure.
like that. Because like you said, Brad, you have situations where people, they don't have like social media and all they have is a TV and they're watching their favorite show, and all of a sudden, there's no, some of these places don't have tornado sirens, they don't have a radio that can pick up on NOAA's the weather scan. So having you guys on TV actually come in and interrupt their programming, it might suck, but it might save their life. I think that's probably one of the best things about TV meteorologists, honestly.
I agree 100%, especially even with the technology we have today with the phones and every aspect of social media that you have. People have laptops open, but TV is still a huge medium to where it comes to getting information out. I mean, it's still something that people will do, especially local TV. I mean, I can understand maybe national TV isn't as popular as it was probably 20 years ago, but local TV is still huge. I mean, people are still going to tune into their local news that they want to watch, and they like their anchors, they like their sports people, and they like their weather people. So it's more of an informative thing, and if things go down and severe weather's happening, then they're gonna look for that to get their information.
And just real quick, I just wanted to say about one more thing about the break-in thing.
Yeah.
I think what people need to realize, just put yourself in the other person's shoes for just 1 second. Yes, your favorite show may be on, but if you were that person who was about to be impacted by that tornado and your house destroyed, along with the rest of your belongings and everything else.
Sure.
I mean, if you got that warning to get to safety, you would be the most grateful person in the world that you're still alive. So just for once, just put yourself in the other person's shoes, not about your favorite show, and say, you know what, that probably saved somebody.
Sure.
A whole lot of tragedy.
And we've seen tornadoes before, and everyone has, and they're very localized. I mean, you can have an EF4 tornado go through a town that's less than 5 miles away, and you wouldn't even know it. I mean, it's just one of those things. I mean, I can understand people are like, well, it's not impacting me, so why am I watching this? But yet, 10 minutes away, people's lives are getting completely overturned here by this tornado. And you have a couple of rumbles of thunder and a downpour where you live, but 10 minutes away, the town's destroyed. So that's the thing about tornadoes; they're so localized but destructive at the same time.
Well, Brad, I think that about does it here for the show. I think we really got a good look inside of what a TV meteorologist does, and just the inner workings of everything, and actually even going out to the grocery store and getting noticed as a celebrity. There's all kinds of things.
I will say I've learned a lot, Mike. I definitely have. I mean, I knew a little bit about it because, like I said, I worked a little bit in school with TV, but there's certainly things that I didn't know a whole lot about. So I'm grateful we had Brad on here, and I was able to fill in as the co-host while we interviewed him.
And if you want to ask Brad more questions, just give him a call at 610-6. No, I'm just
I'm always open for comments and commentary. Yeah, send me an email or send something to the podcast.
While you're at it. Tell him where he lives, and Thanks, guys, for listening to the Weather Lounge. As always, if you have any questions, concerns, any future topics you want to listen to, Brad and Mike talk about, so you can always email us at weatherlounge@weatherworksinc.com. We're on social media. You can find us on YouTube, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram. If you're on professionally in the workplace, we are on LinkedIn as well. And we'll have a new podcast every 2 weeks. You could find us on any podcasting app you have, Apple, Google, Spotify, Stitcher, any app that you listen to your podcast, you'll find the Weather Lounge. And for all of us here, I think that's about it. And we'll see you all here in the next 2 weeks.